Well, uh, this deep dive is tough. It's about director Jeff Baena.
Yeah.
He directed films like Life After Beth and The Little Hours. He was only 47
Wow. Yeah.
and married to Aubrey Plaza, which makes this, I don't know, just so sad.
Yeah.
We're going to be looking at a Reddit thread
Okay.
from r/television.
Okay.
It's about his passing.
Oh, okay.
And we're going to explore the conversation about mental health
Yeah.
and how he perceives success.
Right.
It's just such a shock to see someone so young and talented, like, gone.
It is. It's really sad, you know. He had such a happy and successful life, at least it seemed. It's got a lot of people talking.
Yeah.
Not just about the tragedy, but the bigger picture of mental health. It's like everyone's obsessed with how things look from the outside.
Yeah, and, a lot of people on Reddit are connecting this back to Aubrey Plaza's film, My Old Ass.
Oh, really?
It came out in 2024.
Oh, wow.
And some people are even saying that this news makes it even more emotional. Like, they watch the film, and it hits different now.
Oh, wow. That's interesting. I haven't seen it, but I know it's about aging and relationships, right?
Yeah.
I wonder, is there anything specific in the film that makes people feel this way?
There's this one scene, I don't know if you know about it, but Plaza's character, she talks about feeling invisible.
Oh, wow.
Like, nobody really sees her.
Huh.
It's almost, eerie, given this whole conversation around Biena's passing.
Right.
And you know how so many people struggle silently.
Yeah, that's so true. It really adds a whole new layer to that scene, doesn't it? It's like a reminder that even when someone seems to have it all, they might be dealing with stuff we don't even know about.
Yeah, totally. And it's kind of like, remember that detail in the TMZ article?
Yeah, yeah.
Biena was actually found by his assistant.
Oh, gosh.
Did you imagine?
It's awful. Just awful. It adds another layer of just sadness to this whole thing.
Yeah.
It makes you think about how important it is to reach out to people.
Yeah.
Check in on them, even if everything seems, okay.
Totally. Because you just never really know what someone's going through.
You really don't.
And it's been really striking. I've noticed how many people on Reddit are now sharing their own stories about depression and suicidal thoughts.
Oh, wow.
After hearing this news, it's like it opened something up.
Yeah. It's heartbreaking, but also, in a way, it's hopeful.
Yeah.
It shows that people are, feeling more comfortable
Yeah.
sharing those kinds of things. And it's a reminder that mental health issues,
Yeah.
they don't discriminate. They can happen to anyone.
Right. And it doesn't matter your background or how successful you seem.
Exactly. And, those comments on Reddit, they're like a testament to that shared, vulnerability.
Yeah.
We need to talk about mental health more openly. It's so important.
For sure. And it seems like Biena's death, it's really started a conversation about how we see success and happiness.
Yeah.
It's like there's this idea that if you're successful,
Uh-huh.
wealthy, and have, the seemingly perfect life,
Yeah.
you must be happy.
Right.
And a lot of people on Reddit are pushing back on that.
Yeah, definitely. Success and happiness, they're not always the same thing.
Right.
You know what I mean? There's that saying,
Yeah.
comparison is the thief of joy. And I think that's so relevant here.
Yeah.
We get so caught up comparing ourselves to others. We think that they're success means they have it all figured out.
Yeah. And with social media, it's so easy to fall into that trap.
Oh, yeah.
We see, these perfect versions of people's lives.
Right.
And we just assume that they must have it all together.
Yeah.
But it's only a tiny, tiny piece of their reality.
Exactly. It's all curated. So we need to be more empathetic, more compassionate.
Yeah.
Remember that everyone is on their own journey. Everyone has their own challenges, their own struggles.
Right.
We need to see each other, beyond just success or failure.
Absolutely. And speaking of seeing beyond those labels, there's this one Redditor.
Yeah, okay.
He brought up something really interesting. A line from the poem Richard Cory.
Oh, yeah. Richard Cory. I love that poem.
It's by Edwin Arlington Robinson.
Yeah, it's all about how appearances can be so deceiving.
Exactly. And it seems super relevant,
Yeah.
given everything we're talking about.
Can you remind me about the poem?
Yeah, sure. So it's about this, really wealthy, well-dressed man
Uh-huh.
named Richard Cory.
Right.
And everyone in town, they just, admire him.
Yeah.
He's the epitome of success,
Well, he has it all.
Has it all, exactly.
Yeah.
But the poem ends, and this is what's crazy, with a twist.
Oh, yeah.
It turns out Richard Cory, he wasn't as happy as everyone thought. He was, struggling internally, and he ends up taking his own life.
Oh, wow, that's right.
Yeah.
That's heavy.
It is, right.
Yeah.
And what's so chilling about it is it shows how much we project our own assumptions onto others.
Right.
Like we see wealth or a good appearance,
Yeah.
and we just assume they're happy, but under the surface.
There's else is going on.
Right. They could be battling all sorts of things we have no idea about.
It's like that poem is forcing us to like really look deeper.
Yeah.
It's saying, hey, mental health struggles, they're not always obvious. They can be like hidden from the outside world.
Exactly. And that's what makes this conversation so important.
Yeah, it really is.
Before we go any deeper into Richard Corey and how it relates to Jeff Baena's passing,
Okay.
let's pause here and pick up in part 2.
Sounds good. That Redditor who brought up Richard Corey, I think they were really onto something.
Yeah.
It's like almost like that poem was written for this, you know?
It's uncanny, right? Like
Yeah.
it's this, cautionary tale. Like, don't just judge by what you see on the surface.
Exactly. And there's this one line
Uh,
that just like gets me every time I read it. And
Uh-huh.
Richard Corey, one calm summer night, went home and put a bullet through his head.
oh, yeah.
How do you even process that?
It's heavy. It's
Yeah.
such a stark contrast.
Yeah.
You have this, like, image of this calm, successful guy, but then this
Uh-huh.
tragic, like, reality,
Yeah.
this turmoil going on inside.
Yeah. And what's so like fascinating to me is the
Yeah.
poem, it doesn't give you any easy answers.
Right.
It doesn't say, oh, this is why Richard Corey did this.
No.
You know, it just kind of presents this tragedy.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's up to us to figure it out.
It leaves you with that, like, emptiness.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're right. It's like it's asking us to look beyond the surface.
Yeah.
To realize that mental health, it's complex,
Yeah.
and people's struggles are not always visible.
Exactly. And that's why it's so important to talk about it, you know,
Yeah.
to have these conversations. Like,
Yeah.
we need to move past these, like, simple explanations and just create a space where people feel comfortable,
Yeah.
you know, being honest about what they're going through.
What does that even look like, though?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Creating that space.
Yeah.
Especially with, like, social media and everything, It's like,
It's everywhere, right?
yeah, we're bombarded with images of, like, perfect lives.
I think it starts with ourselves,
Okay.
you know, like challenging our own assumptions.
Yeah.
Instead of judging someone based on what we see,
Yeah.
we need to be more curious, more compassionate, like
Uh-huh.
asking ourselves, what might this person be going through that I don't see?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like recognizing that everyone has their own battles,
Exactly.
even if they seem like they, quote unquote, have it all.
Yeah. And being a good listener,
Yeah.
you know, not judging,
Right.
offering support without trying to fix things.
Yeah, sometimes just knowing someone's there for you
Yeah.
makes all the difference.
It really does.
And I think that's what we're seeing in that Reddit thread,
Mhm.
right? Like, people are coming together, they're sharing their stories,
Mhm.
and they're supporting each other.
It's like a community, and that's what we need more of.
And it's so powerful, Even in the face of this tragedy,
Right.
like, human connection can be really healing.
Yeah, it's like a little bit of light in all this darkness.
It's a reminder that we're not alone.
We're not.
It's interesting to
Yeah.
think about Jeff Baena's films.
Mm-hmm.
Like, a lot of them
Yeah,
dealt with dark humor, absurdity.
they did.
They kind of explored those parts of human experience
Yeah,
that we don't always like to talk about.
like the underbelly of life.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, like, his films were funny,
Uh-huh.
but there's always this, like, underlying sense of unease.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Like, he wasn't afraid to show the messy parts of life.
It's like he was trying to tell us something
Yeah.
through his art.
Well,
Like,
great.
maybe he was saying, it's okay to not be okay.
Yeah.
Like, you can embrace the darkness
Yeah.
as well as the light.
And that brings us back to this idea, you know, that we need to destigmatize mental health.
Yeah.
We need to make it okay
Yeah.
to talk about our struggles.
And to ask for help.
Right, because pretending everything's fine,
Yeah.
it doesn't help.
It just makes it worse.
It isolates us, yeah.
And, I think
Yeah.
Jeff Baena's passing, as tragic as it is,
Yeah.
it has this potential
Uh-huh.
to start this conversation.
I think so, too.
Yeah.
It's a reminder that
Yeah.
anyone can struggle.
Yeah. Even if
Yeah.
they seem like they have it all together.
Exactly.
And it's a call to action
Yeah.
for all of us,
Yeah. Yeah.
to be more mindful, more compassionate,
Yeah.
more supportive.
Yeah.
We've covered a lot,
Yeah.
from the shock of his death
Uh-huh.
to Richard Corey
Yeah.
to this bigger conversation
Mental health. Yeah.
about mental health and success.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
let's take another quick break
Okay.
and wrap up in part 3.
Sounds good.
this deep dive, it's
Really something.
It has.
You know, we started with this tragic news about Jeff Baena.
Right.
And now we're having this like really deep conversation
Yeah.
about mental health and all these expectations.
and connections, right? Like how everything's connected.
Weird.
You wouldn't think that, like, talking about a Reddit thread
Right?
would lead to all this, but it really does,
It shows you how, I don't know, even the hardest topics,
Yeah.
they can teach us something.
They can. And it's like, sometimes those unexpected things like that Richard Corey poem,
Right.
they can really make you see things in a new light.
Yeah. And for anyone listening,
Yeah.
this might be a lot to take in.
It is.
So it's okay if you feel like overwhelmed or
Yeah.
even triggered by all this.
It's heavy stuff.
Yeah.
So, yeah, take care of yourself.
Yeah.
If you need support,
Yeah.
talk to someone you trust
Right.
or call the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline.
Yeah. We'll put that link in the show notes.
Yeah, definitely. Because this isn't just, an intellectual exercise.
No.
We want to encourage people to
Yeah.
be aware and to take action.
It's interesting though, right?
Yeah.
Like Jeff Baena,
Yeah.
he was in this creative field,
Yeah.
filmmaking.
Mhm.
And that's often seen as like glamorous and fulfilling.
Yeah.
But then this happens.
It makes you think.
It does. It makes you wonder,
Oh,
like,
yeah.
is there something about our culture?
Especially in those
Yeah.
high-profile industries.
Right. Like you have to maintain this image
Yeah.
of perfection,
Yeah.
even if you're struggling inside.
Yeah.
Like it's almost like you can't show weakness.
Right.
And I think that's what we need to change.
Yeah.
Like we need to value vulnerability more.
Yeah.
Authenticity,
Yeah.
open communication.
Yeah. It's not about
Right.
curating this
Yeah.
perfect image.
So like, how do we do that?
Yeah. How do we actually change things?
It's the little things,
Okay.
checking in on your friends and family,
Yeah.
listening without judging.
Creating those spaces
Yeah.
where people feel safe
Yeah.
to just be themselves.
Exactly.
And we got to stop thinking
Yeah,
that success equals happiness
totally.
because everyone's different.
And for anyone out there who's struggling,
Yeah.
you're not alone. Okay.
Yeah.
There's help out there.
There is
There
help
are people who care.
and there's hope.
Yeah,
This conversation, it's been a lot,
it has.
but it's also been really important.
It has.
Jeff Baena's passing, it's a tragedy.
Yeah, and it makes you think, right?
Yeah.
Like life is fragile.
And we got to take care of ourselves
Yeah.
and each other.
That's it right there.
Yeah.
Reach out, connect, and let's create a world where it's okay to not be okay.
Exactly. Where vulnerability
Yeah.
is a strength.
Asking for help, that's strength too.
It is.
We can do this
We're both-
together.